Well, Harold Ramis actually lived in Chicago. He was a real Chicago talent he lived in L.A. for a while, but he moved back here, and he was part of the community. And when you look around Chicago, you don't have a lot of these really huge, towering national talents, and certainly not in the filmmaking world, who still stay in Chicago and remain in Chicago. And he was living here when he made Analyze This in 1999, and a lot of movies after that. He was in Second City. He wrote for the Chicago Daily News. He wrote Playboy party jokes. And he was really someone who kind of took that Second City mentality to heart, which was work at the top of your intelligence, but don't be afraid to be wild and crazy. And his movies are very funny and kind of anarchic, but they all sort of have these points of view to them. And the early ones were a little more maybe politically pointed and were about kind of, individual against the institution. And the later ones, starting with Groundhog Day, were more sort of the individual versus himself, and trying to sort of deal with your own inner battles in order to become a better person, which is certainly what Bill Murray's character does in Groundhog Day. I think you could look at a whole generation of filmmakers like Judd Apatow and Adam Sandler and just a lot of people who make comedies now were influenced by Harold Ramis. To say that you could make the case that Harold Ramis was the most successful and greatest filmmaker that Chicago has produced. I'm not sure who else would be up there. I mean, Ghostbusters, which he co-wrote and co-starred in, is one of the most popular comedies of all time, and Groundhog Day is one of the greatest comedies of all time. And you don't have people like Harold Ramis in Chicago. You don't have other ones. It's just him, and he also is just someone who was so widely loved and just considered just a mentor and a mensch and a great guy that this just really is going to hit hard for a lot of people.